On the show, in Wheelspin, we drive the recently launched Porsche Boxter GTS. In Launchpad, we have a look at the most powerful and also the most expensive motorcycle from Kawasaki, India. On the road, we drive the new Volkswagen Jetta to Ratnagiri and Ganpatiphule.
If you love your sports car and you are also a Porsche fan to boot, then there is indeed good news for you, because Porsche India recently launched 2 more variants to their already existing lineup of the Boxster and the Cayman. And now this Boxster here comes with the suffix GTS, which means Gran Turismo Sport, which in turn means more power from the engine. Okay, the engine is here, and of course there are some styling changes which will only add value to the car. But more of that later. This indeed looks very inviting, doesn't it? Time for me to get in behind the wheels.
The GTS range Porsche models are the cars which feature an uprated engine churning out more power and a chassis fitted with Porsche active suspension management to give it a more dynamic handling, and with a few cosmetic changes as well to indicate that you are indeed driving a car which is little different than the run-of-the-mill model.
In terms of the engine, both the regular Boxster as well as this GTS uses the same unit, a 3.4 litre liquid-cooled flat 6. But there is a difference. In the GTS, it churns out more power and more torque. And this is what makes the GTS a lot more drivable and enjoyable. And in fact, you can feel the difference when you start driving the GTS.
The Boxster GTS generates 15 more brake horsepower more than the standard Boxster out of the same engine, and also 10 more Newton meters of torque, which helps it to get to a top speed of 279 kilometers per hour, and the 100 kilometer mark comes up in just 4.7 seconds. You might say that this is well below the supercar standards of today, and so it is, but the fact is that the Boxster GTS still remains an awfully fast car, and it is the light chassis which helps in making it so. The Boxster weighs in at just over 1700 kgs, giving it a nice power to weight ratio.
If you've been watching the show, you know my affinity for mid-engine cars, and it's not without a reason either. Mid-engine cars always tend to handle better because the weight distribution is much more even. And there is another big reason why I like mid-engine cars. What Porsche and many other manufacturers call the emotional appeal. Yes, the emotional appeal consists of the sound that you hear every time you throttle the car. See what I mean? And in a mid-engine car, the audio is just unbeatable. So much so that you don't even need a stereo system. Although this comes with a very nice Bose system, but I would rather hear this. And in this car, to double up the emotional appeal, so to say, Porsche has given you a button. And if you press this one, it just doubles the volume of the audio. It's pure, unadulterated music to my ears. A lot of top-end car manufacturers these days indulge in a lot of technical jugglery, and Porsche sits somewhere on top of the heap here, being a very sophisticated manufacturer. Consequently, you have a host of features, or rather I should say technical wizardry in this car, which makes sure that it's not only very drivable, it gives you very high performance, but also it's very safe. You have stuff like Porsche Active Suspension Management, or PASM as they call it. Then you have torque vectoring, and then you have stuff like electronically controlled limited slip differential. And what all these things do is very simple. It keeps you out of trouble, especially if you are a BHP-starved lunatic who wants to take every corner flat out. And all this technical jugglery ensures that no matter what you do, the host of safety features, including 8 airbags in this car, doesn't pop out that easily. terms of practicality, I would say that this Boxster is a car which you can actually use on an everyday basis. It's a small car, it's not very big, measures in at about 4.2 meters. It's really drivable, its engine is very tractable, comes with an automatic transmission, all the bright boxes you will take if you want to use it on an everyday basis. But the fact is that we live in a country called India, which is ages behind in terms of good roads. So you do encounter stuff like monstrous car breakers, and this is where the problem comes in, because it does have a very low ground clearance. Every time you go over a speed breaker, chances are you will hear that gut-wrenching scraping of the underbelly. Breaks my heart. Can't do this.
Porsche first had the GTS badge on their cars with an extra dose of punch way back in 1963 in the Carrera 904 and in the 80s and 90s in the Porsche 924 and the 928. Both had GTS variants. But after that, it was a long gap, and recently in 2007, it was the SUV Cayenne which got the GTS variant as well. And now the range is extended to both the Boxster and the Cayman as well.
What I drive today is the convertible variant of the Boxster GTS, with the top going down at the press of this electric button in a matter of few seconds. And on a nice day like this, it really provides a nice option of driving topless. It's a little difficult to comment on the color schemes and the design of any Porsche, because most of the Porsches, be it the Boxster, be it the 911, are highly customized according to individual preference, and the customization options really go into the finest of details and very little things, including, for example, the color of the thread used for this hand stitching. You can choose the color of that, you can even choose the color of the seat belt here, and of course you can add on as many features you want. But basically in this Boxster GTS, the interiors remain almost the same as in the regular Boxster. Not much has changed, but then that is not to say that the Boxster doesn't come equipped with everything that you might need. A very nice instrumentation cluster, a touchscreen display here, everything that mixes luxury with performance. And in fact, what you get additional here is plenty of GTS badging. In terms of design here, the GTS has some subtle changes to it. For example, the bi-xenon headlamps here have been smoked out. It gives it a very different appearance. The entire front end here is new, and more importantly, the GTS has grown in length. It's 30 millimeters longer than the standard Boxster. Even at the back, there are some changes which I'll just show you.
Not only these bi-xenon headlamps are smoked out, but also they come out with what Porsche calls the dynamic light system, which ensures that the headlight swivels around while cornering, following the steering angle and the speed. And this translates into much better illumination around tight corners, and the running lights are speed dependent and adjust automatically to the speed of the car. And the GTS here rides on 20-inch alloy wheels with the design borrowed from its faster and more powerful sibling, the Carrera S, to give it a typical aggressive sports car stance.
And as you walk towards the back of the car, you see similar changes. Tail light here has been smoked out, a diffuser has been added, and then you see the twin exhaust painted in high gloss black, and they really look nice. And then of course you have this dynamic spoiler here. The addition of this GTS variant to the Boxster range is sure to give you as a buyer a little more choice. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm quite happy with the extra juice that it produces. A few more BHPs are always welcome, more so in a sports car. I'd always believed that the Boxster is a nice alternative to buying a full-blown supercar. This car here looks nice, drives very well, and very importantly, it costs substantially lower than a full-blown supercar, including its elder sibling, the 911. So if you're looking for fun on wheels and you don't want to pay a whole lot for it, you'd do well to have a look at this Boxster GTS.
Porsches don't come in cheap, and neither does this Boxster GTS, priced at Rs 1.15 crore ex-showroom Delhi. But then if you do have the moolah and you desire a reasonably fast car which will delight you, then this Boxster GTS should be your choice. India Kawasaki Motors, the Indian arm of the global Japanese giant Kawasaki, recently launched the much-awaited Ninja H2 for the Indian market. The machine, positioned to showcase Kawasaki's cutting-edge technology to the keen enthusiast, is a machine which redefines 1-litre motorcycle offerings in the Indian market. The H2 is powered by a 998cc inline 4-cylinder engine, and for good measure it is supercharged, making it one of the rare production street-legal supercharged motorcycles. It produces 200 brake horsepower and offers riders an outstanding performance both on and off the track. The engine is mounted on a trellis frame chassis which is light and flexible to give the machine an outstanding cornering ability around a fast-paced racetrack, and this is a machine which is meant for the track and positioned for extensive racetrack usage. Kawasaki first used the H2 badging way back in 1971 on their inline 750S Mark IV, which back then had become a rage among riders because of its superlative performance, and this current Ninja H2 is all set to repeat this. Draped in blue-silver mirror paint, the H2 looks every bit a dream machine and spells power with its fat exhaust and a low seating stance. The H2 will be imported from Japan as a completely built-up unit and retailed in India with a hopping price tag of Rs 29 lakhs.
And this time I have a gorgeous new car on my hands. The just launched Volkswagen Jetta. And its attractive new front bumper and grille make it look just great. And it also comes with xenon headlamps as well as daylight running lamps. Now, I've always loved the Jetta, so I'm very excited today to be driving it to a new holiday destination. Today I'm off to Ratnagiri, a place well known for its beaches, the quaint Siva Palace, and of course, mangoes. I'm also going to be visiting Ganpatiphule, which I believe is one of the most pristine stretches of beach on the Konkan coast. So let's head over. The distance to Ratnagiri is roughly 380 kilometers from Mumbai. It should take about 7 hours driving on NH17 or the Mumbai-Goa highway, which has now been renamed NH66. Ganpatiphule is then just 35 kilometers onward. But first, I'm going to check out Ratnagiri. The new Jetta that I'm driving is powered by the 2-litre diesel engine which belts out 140 PS. And for transmission, it has the automatic DSG box which makes light work of all the gear shifting. Now both the engine and the gearbox are extremely smooth, so driving this car is pure joy. I finally arrive in Ratnagiri, and despite driving for over 7 hours, I actually feel really fresh and relaxed. That's because the Jetta not only drives very well, but is also extremely comfortable. It has 12-way adjustable front seats, which makes it so easy to find the right driving position, and the automatic DSG gearbox really reduces fatigue. So I'm energized and ready for some sightseeing. The Palace of King Thibaw, the last Burmese king, is the most famous monument in Ratnagiri. So I thought I'd make it my first stop. Now, a significant part of Amitav Ghosh's wonderful book, The Glass Palace, happens to be set right here, and it alludes to the life of King Thibaw. So if you've read that book, this is a particularly interesting place to visit, and I'm looking forward to walking around in the museum. King Thibaw and his wife, the Queen, were exiled by the British to India in a quid pro quo swap with Bahadur Shah Zafar, who was India's last Mughal emperor, to quell any rebellion in either British colony. The palace, an imposing two-storied structure in red stone, was built on 23 acres of land overlooking the Arabian Sea. It is a unique example of pagoda-style architecture and has teak detailing. It has a small museum within, with old photographs and beautiful stone sculptures. After stopping by Thibaw Palace, it's really worth coming to check out Thibaw Point for the most spectacular view of Ratnagiri. You see the water as if it's endless, and there's an island, and you see the palm trees and the village houses in the distance, and the water is dotted with boats. It's just such a beautiful view. It is said that this was the spot from where King Thibaw used to stare out into the sea, apparently dreaming that a ship would come and take him back to Burma. But rather than dwelling on that bittersweet thought, it's time to head over to my next stop. While some people dread the onset of the heat of the Indian summer, I actually eagerly await its arrival because it brings with it the mango season. And Ratnagiri is of course closely associated with mangoes. In fact, it produces some of the country's finest mangoes, the Hapus or Alfonso variety. And so I had to stop by an orchard myself so that I could witness the plucking and the ripening process, and I definitely intend to taste some. You don't see any ripe golden mangoes on the trees because mangoes are plucked while still green to ripen in a controlled setting. Since Ratnagiri's mangoes are exported to states across India and of course even to several countries abroad, plucking them before they're fully ripe accommodates for the transit times, so you have a perfectly ripe mango at the end of the process. It's sweeter than honey and it's softer than velvet. This is Alfonso. It is so divine. I could easily stay on here and eat my fill of mangoes, but it's almost dusk and I really want to catch the sunset by the ocean. So I'm going to head out to the beach. I was determined to catch the sunset on the ocean, and I've made it just in time to Bhatiya Beach. And as you can see, it's also a popular spot among the local people because it's truly a wonderful place to come and unwind after a long day. You feel the wind in your hair and the sound of the ocean, which is very refreshing. And it's certainly whet my appetite for what lies in store for me tomorrow. I'm off first thing in the morning to Ganpatiphule. After getting my first taste of the beach yesterday at Ratnagiri, I'm all set to head out to what I believe is a true tropical paradise, Ganpatiphule. And I'm excited because it means I get to hop back into the Jetta, which has truly been a pleasure to drive. The Jetta comes loaded with all the comforts you can imagine, from these plush leather seats to this really nifty LCD display. And it also scores very high on what I think is one of the most important aspects of the car, safety. It comes with class-leading 6 airbags, which is very reassuring, especially when you're driving on roads with two-way traffic. Around 35 kilometers from Ratnagiri lies the pristine Ganpatiphule, supposedly one of the most beautiful stretches of beach on the Konkan coast. With the Jetta just eating up the kilometers, I'm sure I'm going to get there in no time. This car really is a delight to drive. Ganpatiphule really is a jewel, and I'm so glad that I got to start my day here. It's starting to attract a fair amount of tourists, and I noticed several small hotels cropping up on my drive here. But as you might have guessed from the name, it's not just beach lovers and holiday makers like me that this place attracts, because it's well known for its Ganpati Mandir. In fact, that's where the name Ganpatiphule originates from. There's a Ganesh Mandir on the beach, which is revered for its Swayambhu or self-originated Ganesh idol. And I'm keen to check it out, so I thought I'd walk along the beach and stop by. The Ganpati Mandir, with its elaborately carved pillars and roof, is a charming temple to visit, and I thought it would be a lovely way to end my trip by seeking blessings before I head out. What a great time I've had in both Ratnagiri and Ganpatiphule. Splendid beaches, delicious mangoes, beautiful architecture. What more could I have asked for? And the Jetta has been a truly wonderful travel companion. It's smooth and luxurious and has more than enough room for your whole family to fit in on a road trip. So I hope you're inspired to do one soon. But now it's time for me to head out. I hope you'll join us again next week.